Nobody, and I mean nobody, expected Candace Owens to go this far. Not her critics, not her fans, and not even the political circles that have long protected Charlie Kirk. Not even those closest to him inside his own ecosystem anticipated what was coming. When Candace hit post last night with a message hinting at DNA testing, the internet didn't just react, it exploded. At first, many assumed she was joking, being sarcastic, or teasing another political rant. But the moment her words appeared, "You all need to ask Charlie why he panicked over a DNA testing request," everything changed. Comments froze, screenshots flooded group chats, influencer pages fell silent, and whispers turned into panic. DNA testing on Charlie Kirk coming from Candace was not mere shade, gossip, or a clapback. This was a declaration of war. A war Candace had held back for months, one she never wanted to fight until he forced her hand. Insiders reveal that the drama started long before Candace's explosive post. It began quietly, behind closed doors, with a private situation Charlie allegedly tried to keep hidden. Someone, not Candace, had demanded a DNA test from him after a personal dispute, an incident insiders describe as deeply embarrassing and emotionally devastating. At the time, the public knew nothing. Charlie disappeared for days, his staff behaved unusually, meetings were postponed, and interviews canceled. One cryptic post by an unnamed individual read, "Truth always surfaces," though nobody connected the dots except Candace. People close to her say she wrestled with this information for weeks, debating whether to reveal it, torn between protecting privacy and exposing a cover-up she privately considered dangerous, misleading, and manipulative. Last night, however, something snapped. In a late-night message, Candace delivered a line that might be the most shocking of her career. "Charlie knows the DNA results and so do I." No context, no explanation, just that one sentence. And that alone was enough to send gossip pages, political commentators, staffers, and conspiracy theorists into a frenzy. Within minutes, Kirk DNA was trending across X, TikTok, Instagram, and Discord. Speculation erupted instantly. Was the test tied to a family dispute? A child? An unacknowledged relative? A secret connection? Why did Candace know the results? Why did Charlie allegedly panic? And who demanded the test in the first place? Theories grew darker by the minute. According to an insider, the DNA test wasn't just personal drama. It allegedly involved a much larger issue that could impact Charlie's public image, credibility, and political alliances. The person connected to the test was someone his camp never wanted associated with him publicly. Their involvement could spark a scandal bigger than anything Charlie had faced. What makes it even more chilling is that Candace claims she didn't go searching for this truth. The truth found her. The more she uncovered, the more she realized that Charlie wasn't just hiding a DNA result. He was hiding why the test was demanded. And that reason, insiders say, is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Long before DNA tests, leaks, and cryptic posts ever hit the internet, tension between Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk had been simmering quietly. Their friendship was never simple, and their alliance was far from perfect. Behind the polished on-camera appearances, insiders describe a strained, unpredictable relationship filled with unresolved issues destined to erupt. Candace and Charlie were once the chosen duo, the public faces of a movement, united in message and strategy. But privately, clashes were constant. Candace's fire collided with Charlie's desire for control. Her emotional honesty met his calculated political narrative. Candace demanded authenticity, while Charlie managed perception. Their arguments could become so intense that staff would leave rooms, waiting in hallways until the storm passed. Yet despite the tension, they needed each other. Candace needed Charlie, and Charlie needed Candace. But the DNA scandal revealed just how fragile that balance had become. Charlie needed Candace's influence just as much as Candace relied on his infrastructure. The public, meanwhile, demanded the illusion of unity. So both of them kept secrets, built walls, and learned to play nice. Until someone entered Charlie's personal life who didn't care about alliances, optics, or reputation. That person would eventually ignite the DNA scandal that shattered everything. According to two former TFUSA staffers, the roots of the controversy stretch back nearly a year, stemming from a sudden conflict involving Charlie and an unexpected individual, someone described as sensitive, volatile, and emotionally complicated. At the time, most people ignored it because Charlie quietly suppressed the situation. But Candace sensed something deeper, as she always does. One staffer recalls a moment backstage at an event in Phoenix. Charlie was unusually distant, pacing while his phone buzzed incessantly. Candace, scheduled to speak with him on a panel, finally approached him and asked, "What is wrong with you? Who is blowing up your phone?" Charlie brushed it off, snapping, "Nobody. Don't worry about it." Candace didn't believe him then, and she certainly didn't believe him later. A few days after that event, whispers began circulating. Someone close to Charlie had confronted him about a deeply personal matter, something shocking and emotional, that ultimately led to a demand for a DNA test. No one knew the reason, who requested it, or how it began, but everyone who observed Charlie's behavior knew one thing. He panicked. He canceled meetings, avoided calls, instructed staff to steer clear of personal questions, and most notably, stopped speaking to Candace for weeks. That was the first visible crack in their alliance. Candace waited, observing until the results came back. According to the insider who leaked the initial clue, the DNA results were nothing like what Charlie expected. They were emotionally devastating, shaking the foundations of his personal life and straining a relationship that was already fragile. Charlie, determined to control the narrative, told staff it was nothing, reassured friends it was a misunderstanding, claimed to donors it was false, and convinced trusted allies that the matter was resolved. But behind the scenes, everything was unraveling. The person who demanded the DNA test didn't drop the issue. They didn't accept Charlie's explanations or forgive easily. They wanted answers and accountability for something Charlie never imagined would come to light. And this is precisely when Candace re-entered the story. While Charlie scrambled to contain the fallout, he made a critical mistake. He confided in the wrong person. That person, unloyal to him, passed information to Candace. Suddenly Candace knew. She didn't have all the details, the reason for the DNA test, the person involved, or the full context. But she knew Charlie was hiding something massive, humiliating, and terrifying. For a time she stayed quiet, watching as Charlie's paranoia grew. He froze during meetings, obsessively checked his phone, lashed out at staff, erased messages, and shouted during late-night calls. Once, in a heated moment, he even threw his phone across a room. Candace understood exactly what this behavior signaled. Charlie wasn't just lying to the public, he was lying to himself. He believed the DNA dispute was contained, that it would never reach anyone else, and that he believed the DNA dispute was contained, that it would never reach anyone else, and that he could bury the truth under politics and influence. But everything changed when Candace received information she could no longer ignore. The person behind the DNA request reached out to her directly, revealing the first critical piece of the puzzle. At that moment, Candace realized the truth. Charlie wasn't being targeted, he was being exposed. And this exposure wasn't about biology, paternity, or ancestry. It was far darker, far more personal, and it threatened Charlie's entire public image. This time, Candace wasn't going to let him spin the story. Everything reached a breaking point the moment she received the message Charlie never wanted her to see. The message that would ignite the DNA war and change everything. The person who had demanded the DNA test had remained silent, until now. The message Candace received wasn't long, flashy, or emotional. It was 8 words. 8 words that completely upended everything she thought she knew. Asterisk, ask him why he refused the second test. Candace froze. A second test? Charlie had told everyone, friends, staff, even allies, that there had been only one test, one incident, one drama that supposedly settled everything. But now Candace realized he had lied. There had been 2 tests, and he had allegedly refused the second one. Her next message was immediate and precise. Asterisk, why did he refuse it? The reply came 30 seconds later. Asterisk, because he knew what it would show. Asterisk, Candace felt her pulse spike. Her hands went cold. This was no ordinary family dispute or private argument. The DNA test wasn't random curiosity, it was a confrontation. A demand for proof tied to something Charlie had allegedly done or denied in the past. And the person demanding it wasn't backing down. Candace needed the full story. She pressed further. Asterisk, tell me everything. Start from the beginning. Asterisk, the answer didn't arrive in text. It came as a voice note. A shaky, furious, exhausted voice she recognized instantly. Someone who had been close to Charlie for years, someone familiar with his influence machine, someone who understood the inner workings of political circles and how they shield their own. The voice said, he told everyone the test wasn't necessary, but we know why it was. The first test came back unclear. The lab said additional samples were needed to confirm the pattern. Charlie refused. He said it was over. He said it didn't matter. But it did matter. Because if they tested again, the connection would be undeniable. Candace whispered, connection to what? To who? The answer hit her like a punch. This wasn't about distant ancestry, medical quirks, or a vague DNA detail. This was about a specific person. Someone whose confirmed connection would dismantle Charlie's carefully crafted image, his legacy, his public brand. The second test wasn't just inconvenient, it was catastrophic. The voice note continued. Charlie hadn't refused the second test alone. Someone had advised him to refuse it. Candace froze. Who had that kind of sway? Who could hold that much influence over him? The reply was instant. The same woman he's been protecting all this time. Candace nearly dropped her phone. Her mind raced. The woman tied to the foreign surveillance scandal, secret communications, whispers behind the scenes. The woman connected to Charlie's emotional volatility. Everything, the panic, the secrecy, the DNA test, the manipulation, traced back to her. And the most terrifying realization? He hadn't just influenced Charlie. She allegedly convinced him to hide the DNA results, saying, if this gets out, we're both finished. Finished. Meaning the truth wasn't just dangerous for Charlie, it could destroy her too. Candace sat in stunned silence, processing the convergence of scandals. The DNA test, the foreign contact, the panic, the manipulation. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't two separate stories. It was one tangled, explosive narrative, and the person at its center was about to be exposed. But the identity of the person who demanded the DNA test, the person at the heart of this emotional bombshell, remained undisclosed for now. Nothing had been said publicly yet, but it was coming. And when it finally surfaced, the internet wouldn't just react, it would detonate. The deeper Candace dug, the darker the entire situation became. She thought she already understood the DNA scandal, thought this was just a buried mistake Charlie had locked away where no one would ever find it. But she was wrong. Catastrophically wrong. Just as she prepared to reveal what she knew, her phone lit up with a new message. One that didn't expand the story but blew it wide open. The number wasn't saved. No name. No photo. No mutual contacts. Just a message at the top of her screen glowing like a warning flare. Candace's stomach dropped. This wasn't the same person she had been messaging earlier. This wasn't the requester. This wasn't This wasn't any insider she recognized. This was someone else entirely. Someone watching from the shadows, someone terrified. Someone who needed her to understand the part of the story Charlie had been hiding even from those closest to him. Candace froze mid-breath. Everything shifted. This wasn't a story about claiming a connection. It was a story about denying one. A voice note arrived. The voice was quiet, shaky, like someone whispering from behind a locked door. Candace's eyes snapped shut. A child. A child Charlie allegedly denied knowing. A child linked to a woman he insisted he had nothing to do with. A woman who demanded proof and unleashed chaos when she didn't get it. Candace replayed the message 3 times. Each time the knot in her stomach tightened. Charlie refuses, not because he's innocent, but because he's terrified the second test will expose him. If Charlie truly believed he wasn't the father, he would have wanted a second test. He would have sprinted to the lab. He would have demanded clarity. Blonde hair, white eyes, and a specific